Ladies and gentlemen, it's that time of the week again. Welcome back to the break room. Grab your coffee, grab your lunch, grab whatever it is you want to grab. Make sure you don't sit next to the weird guy in the office because we're going to have some good conversations today. This is the break room. Listen, as always, just a fair warning. This show goes all over the place. There's really no guidance. I have a couple things written down, but we're going to talk about all things. And the first thing I want to start with is that it's a moment of silence. And I'm going to take that moment of silence for approximately 5 seconds, starting now. Thank you. That was for Kelly Oubre. Now, if you've watched this show before and you're a follower of Mikey O'Ver's, you would know that last night, the Kelly Oubre over streak and Mikey O'Ver's came to a pitiful demise. I am no longer undefeated betting on Kelly Oubre overs. And it hurts. I'll be honest, it hurts. It hurt. It hurt me here. Where's the heart? In the middle? Here. For one of two reasons. One, I woke up, didn't have a great, ringer on. What an absolute botch job. Some professionalism, Mike. Listen, here's the thing. It hurt for one of two reasons. One was I woke up, saw the Warriors were playing at the Chase Center, which means Kelly Oubre would be playing in front of females again, which automatically makes me think his over's a lock. But then I was like, maybe I won't take Oubre today. But then I forced it. And that's the second reason why it hurts the most, because I forced it. I didn't feel good about it, and I forced it, and now the streak is dead. And now I don't know if Kelly Oubre and I will ever eat at the same table again. If you watched last episode, I had it all planned out. Maybe Thanksgiving dinner. I passed him the mashed potatoes. Tell him these were on you. You built this table. Those overs, but that might be done. Speaking of things that are going colossally wrong, let's move on to my other favorite team, the Liverpool Football Club. And if I could get some F's in the chat or in the comments for Liverpool Football Club, because we absolutely suck. I don't know what's going on. We've got one of the best rosters in soccer, arguably the best manager in all of football. I use both terminologies there. And we suck. We suck. I think we're sitting 7th in the table right now. Changes need to be made. I don't know if ownership needs to change. I don't know if the players need to be absolutely mixed around. Whatever it is, something has to change. Because Liverpool Football Club is riding off the rails right now. We might not even qualify for the Europa League. This is Liverpool Football Club, one of the biggest clubs in the world. And we're in 7th place in the Premier League. That just can't happen. That just can't happen. It honestly cannot happen for a couple reasons. One, I'm already a Jets fan, so I don't need another team that just sucks in my life, okay? One is good, When I look at my roster of teams I like, one is good with the Jets that just suck. So, Liverpool, let's turn this ship around. We're not dead yet. There's still plenty of life left in the tank. We can still get Mbappe. That's all we need is Kylian Mbappe. Please. I'm literally begging for Mbappe right now. So Fenway Sports Group, you can make up for the Super League by buying Kylian Mbappe, putting him on the team, and then we'll win the league, Champions League for the next 5 years, however long you want to sign him to that contract. Now listen, I'm going to have a hot take here. And it could go horribly wrong. So Jason, I want you to make a note 419 on this podcast. Just in case we want to cut this, we'll fix it in post. But Mohamed Salah is the most overrated player in football. He can't pass the ball. He's got terrible positioning. His dribbling, mediocre at best. But he is fast, and he can score a goal occasionally. And by occasionally, I mean a lot. But he doesn't help the team win games. And that's what we need at Liverpool Football Club. We need players that help the team win games. Now, I know Mane decided to take a vacation for the past month and do absolutely nothing on that left-hand wing. But Mo Salah, if you're going to talk about how you deserve the Ballon d'Or, how about you step up and help us win some games, okay? But moving on, I don't want to spend the whole podcast talking about everything that's going wrong because there are some things going right. And a couple things that are going right are taking place in the Bookit Sports app. Now you're sitting there going, what is the Bookit Sports app? The Bookit Sports app is an app for all things sports bettors and sports fans alike. You can track your action, follow your friends, post to the home feed, and buy expert picks and analysis from our Bookit verified handicappers. All on one platform, free on the App Store and Google Play Store. So why don't you go download it? Because there are some things going on at Bookit right now, and I want to talk about a couple accounts that are absolutely bringing the heat. SBE, new member to the Bookit community, absolutely killing it. He's got a massive bet on today's slate of games, and we love that. He's bringing excellent energy to the community. Bringer of Rain said, hey, I don't only bet sports, but I make 6 sports edits. Put out an awesome post of a Darius Garland collage. Love that. B. Willis 85 has been interacting with my account like never before. And we're loving it. Absolutely loving it. And then, of course, Parlay Me, our UFC guy, hashtag Bink. I don't know what that means. Hopefully I don't get canceled for that. That's his hashtag. He loves using it. He's been absolutely on the app every day, posting interesting content, liking, following. He's been doing everything right. And that's what we love about this community. And that's what I love about the app. So stop wasting time. Just go download it. You can follow me there and you can get this podcast, but basically every day of the week with the content that I do. Now, I'd like to bring on the guest of today's episode because we have some things I want to talk about. And it is Bookit HQ's very own David Bolisomi, a.k.a. the Huncho, a.k.a. the offensive tackle TCU alum. David, what's going on? Welcome to the Breakroom.
I'm doing well, man. I'm in the Breakroom. Must be special.
It's super. I mean, only the most special people get to enter this coliseum of sports. But, Dave, there are some things I want to talk about.
Yes, sir.
And obviously it's going to be about the NFL draft. You're a football player. You played football your whole life. Mm-hmm. And the draft is tomorrow.
It is.
So there's a couple things I want to talk about. First is the biggest draft busts. Now, I've got 3 that I want to talk about. What's up, Nick, in the background? We see you. First 3 that I'd like to talk about, when I hear draft busts, my mind immediately goes any Cleveland Browns quarterback other than Baker Mayfield. Any New York Jets quarterback other than Mark Sanchez for 1 year.
Okay.
And Tim Tebow. That's about it. So when I think draft busts, those are my draft busts that I go, okay, it's any Cleveland Browns guy, any Jets guy, and then Tim Tebow. Because he played on the Jets after that Broncos season, and it was just a disaster. He had no business being in the NFL at that point. But I know you have a wealth of NFL knowledge, so I want you to give me either 1, 2, or 3 biggest busts, and you tell me.
Of all time, to be honest with you, I don't think there's ever been a bigger buzz than Jamarcus Russell. And if you remember, Jamarcus Russell was a quarterback coming out of LSU. Got drafted first overall to the Raiders. So he gets drafted. Dude, during the pre-draft process, took a knee and just slung the ball 70 yards. His arm was ridiculous. He was a big quarterback. I think it was about like 6'4", 6'5". At the time, he was around like 260. He was fit, but he held out the entire offseason because he wanted a huge contract. So on top of the hype, right? Think about he comes from LSU. Like he's the man. The dude's literally on his one knee throwing 70 yards. Held out. Got a ridiculously large contract for a rookie at the time. And then he gets to the Raiders. He gets drafted at Oakland Raiders at the time, and he does absolutely nothing the first season. No. Just fucking awful. Like, it was horrible.
My first question, though, Dave. Do you think that the quarterback position is the most prone position in the NFL to busts because you're under the microscope every single game? Do you think that – an NFL quarterback being a bust is a little different than, let's say, a wide receiver being a bust or a cornerback? Or do you think that position you're the most prone to being a bust?
Absolutely. But it's the most important position on the field. I mean, I'll make the bias argument. I think it's the most important position in all the sports. It's just about how much control the quarterback has, like, in an offense. And yes, you have all the eyes on you all the time. You're literally touching the ball every single play. You're the general. You're the field general, right? And I mean, if you're going to be in that position, you have to perform because, I mean, with that position also come the accolades, right? So the quarterback on most team is the highest paid player. Also, the backup quarterback on most team, if you look at the what you call it, how much they get the cap table, they're like top 10, top 15, right? So I mean, it's the most important position on the field. And in terms of DeMarcus Russell, so like, dude is awful his first season, goes back in the offseason, and come back, he's like 340 pounds. Yeah.
I mean, went to Oakland, In-N-Out Burger's close. Could have been he just fell in love with the animal style over there. I mean, I know I do. But so, Dave, that brings me to kind of like my next question, because the draft is tomorrow. And obviously, before we talk about this, just give me a moment here. One moment. Hold on.
There's no way. He's not pulling up in the Jets. If he pulls up in the fucking Jets jersey.
just hold on.
I would literally lose my shit.
Listen, I've got the Jets on-field apparel on. Listen, this is got this for $20 at Marshall's. It's like the 2016 on-field jacket. It's pretty comfortable, not going to lie to you. But listen, I put this on for one reason. And as a Jets fan, the draft scares me every single year.
Scares you for it. Yeah.
Because we're incapable of making the right decision. But as we were just talking about, busts are inevitable in the NFL draft.
Absolutely.
When you're looking at this draft, we're going to have a little draft talk here for a second. Who do you think are the best prospects right now? And we'll give me 3 of the best prospects you think there are. And where do you think the bust of this year's draft might come from after looking at some of the mock drafts? This will be clipped.
All right.
And if he becomes a Hall of Famer, it will be on you.
It will be on me. My favorite player in this draft is obviously Kyle Pitts. I mean, the kid, his hands unbelievable. He's extremely athletic as a tight end, but things that people underlook on Kyle Pitts is also a really good blocker. Like, if Gronk had speed, I believe he'd be Kyle Pitts. Like, that's how much I like the kid. I think he's a really good player. I think he's going to be really great. DeVonta Smith is my favorite receiver. I don't think he's the best receiver in the draft. I like DeVonta Smith just because just the way he approaches the game. He literally just wants to play ball, and that's it. Like, he doesn't care about any of the noise, like whatever you have to say about him. And it's all about the team, which is what you get most of the time from Bama's receiver. Just the way that Nick Saban runs that program, how can you not be a fan of DeVonta Smith? My third best prospect, which is my favorite receiver, I think is underrated. Like, people don't give him much respect, is Kadarius Toney out of Florida. He's electric. He's a little slow. He's like 5'7", 5'8". He's maybe a $180 with bricks in his hands, but the kid can fly. And I like the way he plays. He plays with a chip on his shoulder. Reminds me a lot of Tyreek Hill, but obviously I'm not going. We don't know how he's going to pan out.
Can't put him in that conversation.
What I saw of Florida, the kid has a lot of potential. So those are my 3, I'll say, favorite prospect out of this draft.
Yeah, I love that. Give me one guy that you think has that bust factor. That could be the bust. But before you do that, I'd also like to shout out any of David's TCU teammates that are listening. He didn't shout a single one of you out. So, yeah, continue, though, Dave.
Because I'm not going to put the pressure on. I mean, the best safety in this draft is out of TCU, Trevor Morik, and he's going to go to the Las Vegas Raiders. The second best is also out of TCU, Ardarius, but that's a whole different story. Plus, out of this draft, I don't understand the hype behind Zach Wilson, and I want somebody to help me understand it. Like, I don't hate the kid. I don't hate the way he plays. I just don't think it's top 5 worthy. It's the same thing when Trubisky went to the Bears. Like, I didn't understand that. I didn't understand it, and I can't understand Zach Wilson. So, like, to me, I'm like, Second overall? I don't know. You're a Jets fan, so I want to hear your take.
So you're gonna come on this show when I'm in my Jets jacket, and I ask you, who do you think the bust of the draft is gonna be? And you say the quarterback that the Jets are gonna draft. I mean, it's unbelievable. But listen, here's the thing. And before I get into Zach Wilson, because you're talking about the three guys that you think are some of the best prospects in this draft, and then a guy that you think is going to be the bust. So you've went through this process before. You played football at TCU. You're going to go to the NFL draft. Mm-hmm. So talk me through, what do you think teams are looking for in players? Because that could be a totally different conversation than what you see from the surface level, just going, that guy could be good in the NFL. Because teams, as we know, they're looking at, as you probably know, and I'd love you to walk me through it a little bit, they're looking at everything top to bottom, your personality, your friend group, what your favorite book is. Like, it feels like a list that goes on and on and on that the public doesn't get to see.
Absolutely.
So you've been through that process, and I just kind of want you to walk me through kind of what is the team's angle when they're looking at players?
Well, you have to look at need first and foremost, but within need, there's just certain realities, right? So if you have the top 5 picks in the NFL draft, that necessarily, most often than not, means that you don't have a number one guy as a quarterback. So that means you have to pick a quarterback, regardless of if the best player in the draft is a quarterback or not. That's just the reality of it, because the most important position on the field is a quarterback. So that's just, from a politics aspect of it, you just have to. You don't really have a choice, because your fan base is going to crucify you. Most of them not. If you have a new head coach, well, that head coach wants his guy in there. And again, the quarterback just has so much control. It's hard for you to step into a new job. You're going to get crucified if you don't have a good season. And you have to rely on somebody else's guy, which is why, the whole thing when the Browns got a new head coach, it was like, oh, is Baker going to stay there, or are they going to draft a quarterback? Because you knew there, it's like, do you really believe in Baker, or do you want to go out there and get your guy? So that's first and foremost. Then you go and need, like, what do you need? Who are you losing? Who's retiring? Your cap. Like, how can you afford one of those big names? Because if they hold out, like, are you able to go without them? Because, again, you're taking that gamble, right? And then third, I think, is fit. Like, is team fit? Like, can this player fit within your system? Which is why I'm honestly confused with the Jaguars, right? Like, obviously, at this point, I think we all know that Trevor Lawrence is going first overall, but I thought Urban will go with Justin Fields. For me, I think it makes more sense. If you think about just the type of coaches that he's bringing in, it's the same mentality that they had at Ohio State. Here you have a kid that comes from the system, but he's getting overlooked by Trevor Lawrence. And by no means do I want to say that Trevor Lawrence is a bad quarterback. I like the kid, but that's the part of it that I'm a bit confused.
Had a shaky performance in the college football playoffs, though. So that's what you're judging it off of, right? Absolutely. Justin Fields lit him up in that game.
He did.
So, and I'd love to talk about Justin Fields a little bit. Yeah. What do you think is going on there? You're looking at a kid who honestly had a great year. Obviously, Ohio State had that controversy of not playing a lot of games, but still making the playoffs.
Absolutely.
But he did beat Trevor Lawrence and then got absolutely lit up by Alabama. But that's to be expected when you play a program like Alabama that has the weapons they had this year.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems like everything that you read about this draft, Justin Fields' name just keeps slipping. And, they came out that he has seizures or epilepsy that he's taking medication for, but the doctor said he will grow out of it. So why does that name keep slipping? Because he seems like the perfect dual threat quarterback.
Hey, to be honest with you, I wish I had an answer for you. Like, from the people that I know that know Justin Fields, like, none but great things to come out of him. Great leader. We see the way he plays. Off the field issues aren't there. The kid is, from my opinion, I really do think Justin Fields is the best quarterback in this draft. But I don't understand why he keeps slipping. I don't know. Every single year, I feel like we go through this, right? It's a draft. Like, different coaches have different way of ranking, their favorite guys. And for some reason, it's this year they feel like Justin Fields is not showing enough, which is why I don't understand how Justin Fields is slipping, but Zach Wilson is rising. Like, what are you seeing that we're not? Which, at the end of the day, they get paid the big bucks to make those decisions. And I do believe, like our producer, Jason, that when it's all said and done, the people that passed on Justin Fields, they will regret it.
Yeah, hopefully not, because we would be one of those teams. But I do, I think the draft is so interesting, right? Because leading up to the draft, everything about it is this could be the year that your team changes, right? You could find the Pat Mahomes. You could find the whatever steal you want to talk about. Your team could find him in this draft. Do you think that, and I read an interesting article and it said that we've now, once you reach the Monday before the draft, you reach the time where teams' picks change because the draft is 4 or 5 days away and now you're panicking. You're rechecking, double checking, triple checking after you might have had that gut feeling. Do you think there's going to be a huge shakeup on draft day that all these mock drafts are saying this, they're going to take him, they're going to take him, they're going to take him? And do you think that that kind of mix up happens often because of the draft getting closer and teams like panicking and wanting to double check and make sure they're right and then going away from their gut feeling they might have had 3 weeks ago?
Absolutely. No, it happens for various reasons. Also, like, team have workouts with different players, right? And throughout those workouts, when you're able to be like with that one-on-one, you usually the position coach for your position and then the head coach, you get to know the players a little more deeper, right? And that changes the way that you think about, drafting player 1 versus player 2. Also, when you go in the draft, yes, you want to pick the best player for your team, but also you picking against the other teams that are picking, right? So you hearing noise about, okay, what deals are going to be happening, what trades are going to be happening. Well, if that team is in your division and you know that they're going after X player, well, do you want to take that player over them just so they don't have it because that it's going to bat you the ass later on? You have it's
got to play chess, not checkers.
Absolutely, it's chess, and you have to be ready for all of it, which is why the last week, going in the last 7 days going to the draft is very crucial, and that's where things shake up. And also, one of the things I'm really watching, to be honest with you, is the number 5 pick, the Bengals, because I don't know what Cincy is going to do. Right? I hope they pick a receiver. I don't know if they do because, in my opinion,
you got to give Joe Burrow a weapon.
But you also have to protect Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow in the season because he was running for his life out there, right? But if you draft a lineman, it's great, he's protected, but who the hell is he throwing the ball to, right? So I don't know, it's gonna be very interesting. And I mean, I do think that, in my opinion, they should go out and either get DeVonta Smith or Jamar Chase. But I believe they're probably gonna end up taking the tackle out of Oregon, the Polynesian dude. He's really good, really, really tough run blocker. Great passing, and that's what Joe Burrow needs.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that I also want to ask you, I got 2 more things I want to ask you, and then we're going to move on to my favorite segment. It's called The Train Station. But before we get there, I want to ask you 2 more things. One is, what do you think about the criticism of DeVonta Smith's size and his response to that, saying we're not bodybuilders, we're football players, but you're playing in an era of football where defenders are freaks now. They weigh 300, 280 pounds, and they're coming to take your head off. Obviously, he's got the speed that could burn anyone in the league today. But, what do you think of the criticism of his size and maybe that could cause to him slipping down the draft?
To be honest with you, at the end of this, size matters up to a point, but ballers gonna ball regardless, to be honest with you. Like, Tyreek Hill is 5'8" with 170 with bricks in his hand. How big is Antonio Brown? Like, yes, you have your DK Metcalf that are just like, Jesus Christ, this man is huge, but you look across the
drank a lot of milk growing up, that Nesquik.
Clearly, and ate his vegetables. But you look across the league, it's you don't need to be just big, like 6'4", 220, runs a 4.3. Yes, that's Julio. That's great. But Antonio Brown is just as good. And Antonio's 5'9", 5'10", something like that. So, I agree with him. It doesn't the receiver spot, it doesn't matter as much as long as you can ball. That's all that matters.
And now, real quick before we get into the train station, this is a scenario I've wanted to ask someone that's been close to the game. And obviously, as an offensive tackle, you've protected quarterbacks basically your entire career in football. And the situation with the Jets was interesting to me because we had a situation where Sam Darnold never really got a chance. He played for the biggest clown of a head coach to ever coach a football team in the history of football ever with Adam Gase. So he never got a chance to really be protected either. Yeah, but the Jets go out. We drafted an excellent offensive lineman last year and had a chance this year to draft another one with the 2nd pick, but instead decided to call it quits on his career and get rid of him and get a quarterback. So what is what do you think of that thought process? Instead of going, okay, we've never really given this kid a legit chance. Let's double down and get him a really good offensive lineman and build that line for him, or just cut ties and go for another quarterback in another possible rebuild year. What do you think is the thesis there?
To be honest with you, I don't understand it because I agree with you. Donald was running for his life out there. And I don't mean this
he was seeing ghosts. He was getting chased after so hard.
running for his life. He was getting killed out there. And
He was.
The kid out of left tackle out of Louisville. He was big. He was nasty. Great pass blocker. It made more sense, in my opinion, like you said, to draft a tackle, number 2. You know he's protected. And you really give him this year to prove to the franchise that, hey, he's either your guy or he's out. Because if you go in and they're going to get Zach Wilson. I don't know if Zach Wilson is your guy because I believe in about 2 to 3 years you're going to be back at square one. And you're going
he also played at BYU. I'd rather a power conference.
Exactly, because that's my thing. If you're going to draft a quarterback, you need to have the mechanism in place to protect them and give them weapons. And also, Darnold played his receiving core where, 3 guys are undrafted because dude out of Baylor was hurt for most of the year.
Denzel Mims.
Absolutely. Who are you going to throw the ball to?
Yeah, and we made a move to get a wide receiver, Corey Davis, who I'm honestly excited about. I think he was a little underused in Tennessee, and to be honest with you, it's the first time we have a wide receiver that I feel confident in, someone throwing the ball to. Before it was Robbie Anderson, Terrell Pryor. These aren't names that you go and you look at that and go, oh, that's a real good receiver. Jamison Crowder. Jamison Crowder had a good year, but if there was any other weapon on the field, he wouldn't even be touching the ball. But that brings us to our next segment, the train station, which is my favorite segment of the break room because it gives the guest and I a chance to say the names of the guys or women in sports right now that we are high on and we're getting on the quote-unquote hype train. And what better place to start than the NFL draft with hype trains? But first, I want to talk about Lou Dort because last week I said I was on the Lou Dort hype train, and that train absolutely took me to the promised land yesterday when a plus 500 underdog Oklahoma City Thunder, led by Lugens Dort, the Dortcher Chamber, took the Boston Celtics down.
Absolutely.
That alone should tell you why I bought that ticket, but I'm going to buy my new ticket. And obviously, as a fan of the program and for the brand itself, I feel as though I'm obligated to buy a Zach Wilson hype train ticket because if I don't, I feel like I would be letting down the brand. And if that's what they feel is right, I'm like a little kid whose mom is making them like go visit their grandparents on the train when they want to go hang out with their friends. I'm getting like pulled onto the train. And I'm like, no, Mom, no, I don't want to go. But I don't make those decisions, so I'm going to have to go. So Zach Wilson, please. I'm buying your ticket. Even though I don't want it. The train is super, super new, but it's also coming from BYU. So who knows what's been on that train before. So Dave, what ticket are you buying for the train station here at the ticket office going into Thursday?
It's no brainer for me. The Jim Thorpe Award winner, safety out of TCU, Trayvon Moore, the number 1 safety in the draft. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
The Frogs!
Yes, sir. Gotta go with the home team. Gotta go with the
You had to do it.
He's the best safety in the game. He's the best safety in the draft, and I think he's gonna have a really good career. He's amazing.
I love that. Absolutely. All for the brand. You got to do it. You have to. That's why I'm over here holding a tattered, torn BYU Zach Wilson hype train ticket to the New York Jets. That is like the worst combination sentence I think I've ever said before in my life.
Since you brought out the Jets, and I'm going with, the hype train. With
Helmet on!
The helmet has to come on, man.
We're helmet on. The Frogs. David's booking his ticket for the Frog. David's booking his ticket for the Frogs, for the brand. I'm booking my ticket for the Jets. This should be the clip part of it. This is absolutely absurd. Dave's got the helmet on. I've got the jacket on. This has been the break room. Dave, I want to thank you so much for coming on. It's been awesome having you. If I was sitting here up here talking about football by myself, the show would have been 2 minutes, and I would have said the Jets suck. Zach Wilson's going to be a bust. But guess what? That's not the case. We had someone that has knowledge of the game on. So, Dave, thank you. Tell them where they can find you.
They can find me on the Bookit Sports app. I'm Huncho on the app. Download it. Let's
Bang.
go.
Free on the App Store and Google Play Store. This has been The Break Room. I have BB-8 in my fridge. Thanks for watching.